Our next presentation comes from CBS in Israel, and it is on the topic of communicating new products and activities developed in response to the crisis. So the presenter is Eran Ropalidis, and Eran is Head of Dissemination and Communication in the Israel Central Bureau of Statistics and has been since 2015. So this work includes directing the communication strategy, publications and dissemination program, as well as press relations, service to the public and users, and new media and central information services. So very busy man. Before joining the ICBS, Eran worked in the Prime Minister's office, and he has a BA in Political Science and International Relations, a master's degree in Politics and Communications, and an MBA from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. So I'll pass you over to Eran, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Do you hear me well?
Yes, thanks.
That's great. So good afternoon and hello to everybody. I'm very happy to be here and share with you some of our experience in communicating new products and services we provide to our users during this crisis. Before I start, I will be glad to say a few words about the situation here. Israel successfully dealt with the first wave, started in March. From the very beginning of the crisis, we were in a tough lockdown, and we had only a few hundreds verified cases a day. Shortly afterwards, the number of cases dropped significantly and the restrictions were removed. And now we are having hard times dealing with the second wave, started in June, happening these days with almost 3,000 verified cases a day. And since the last weekend, we are in the highest rate in the world, bad record. Accordingly, the new reality forced us in the CBS to develop a new operation. You see it in the second row. We had to do some reorganization. We had to conduct phone surveys instead of face-to-face surveys. To reduce the workforce to 35% of employees at the beginning and 65% later, and to work according to new government instructions like wearing masks, keeping distances, work in capsules, or partly work from home. And in this reality, beside all of the regular activities we used to do, the ICBS was expected to provide more and more reliable and up-to-date data related to the crisis, to decision makers, and for research. And it is mainly expressed by having two new big surveys and some changes we did in existing surveys and data sources, as well as changes in work methods, as I will present. All of this, of course, in order to reflect the economic and social effects of the crisis. So when we talk about this first one, the survey of business during the corona crisis, we're talking about a survey that happened in 8 waves so far, 8 waves so far, once every 2 to 4 weeks. The purpose of the survey is to examine the situation of business in terms of activity, employment, turnover, bank credits, etc., as a consequence of the pandemic. The survey includes businesses with 5 and more employees from the high-tech industry, manufacturing, construction, retail, trade, financial services, insurance, restaurants, a sample of something like 1,200 businesses. The second and big survey, civil resilience during the coronavirus crisis, with 3 waves so far, one every, let's say, month and a half. The purpose of the survey is to provide snapshot of vital data regarding civilian resilience, emotional situation, economic condition, welfare, trust in the government and in the municipality. And the participants in this surveys are residents age 21 plus. It's based on the social survey, and the sample again is something like 1,200 participants, something like that. And as I said, beside these two very big and new surveys, we have new data and current data influenced by the coronavirus crisis. I write down a few examples. The first one is the labor force survey. In this case, we increased the frequency and we publish flash estimation every 2 weeks. And we also added data on specific groups like employees that temporarily absent from work or forced to take vacation or in quarantine and stuff like that. Another example is the consumer confidence survey that we also increased the frequency and publish flash estimation every 2 weeks. And in general, I can say that in almost every press release, we had to give special reference to both the effects related to the crisis and explanation to the methodological adjustments we had to do according to the market activities and the lockdown and the different way the data collected and analyzed. I did not mention it here because I don't have a lot of time, but we also were involved in other projects like advising the National Corona Cabinet, the government in statistics issues. We were involved in a serological survey made in one of the main cities called Bnei Brak, and our national statistician pushed without succeed to make a national serological survey. And we also publish monthly deaths numbers. And all of these activities take a lot of attention from the public and users, the media, everybody. After saying that, I want to add that from the beginning of the crisis, we understood that we have to change our way of thinking and to forget a lot of things that we used to work over the years, and develop a new communication strategy based on these guidelines I wrote down in the presentation. The first one is demonstrating flexibility and adapting products to the situation. We understand that we cannot longer continue to publish our indicator according to tough timetable and with no reference to the crisis when the traditional definition ignore it. I give an example before the labor force survey that ignore the definition. That usually there's no reference to special groups that are very interesting in this case, like people stay at home, don't work, forced to take vacation, contemporary out of work. Second thing, we understood that we have to gather related data in one place, and we opened a special web page in our internet. We have to listen to our users and to help them to find all the data in one place, and at the same time to reduce inquiries that disturb our work. And in our team, we also have some people in quarantine, people who have to stay at home because of some other reasons. So we have a lot of work to do and less people to do this work. We used to update our stakeholders and users. We did it usually by newsletters, by messages from the national statistician, film messages, by video. We initiate a daily media briefing. We do it by phone, WhatsApp, or email. I told you with the reference to the crisis and about the social and the economy and influence of it. We provide interviews to the media, and I think we had during the last 5 months more interviews than we had in the last 5 years. We use all our social media platforms, and in addition, we took the opportunity to open a Telegram another channel to communicate our data and activities. And another point, I think the Italian also talk about it. We understand that we have to cooperate and coordinate with other offices and bureaus because we don't want the public to be confused, and a lot of agencies are releasing a lot of numbers all day long. This situation brings challenges, but like always, big opportunities. The main challenge that also forced us to sharpen or develop skills are the high frequency of publishing data, high awareness to every data release, because everything is very, very interesting this time. Balancing between working fast and publishing flash estimation versus waiting for final estimations and working under advanced release calendar. And the competition between offices on releasing numbers, the national, I give an example, the National Insurance Institute or the National Employment Service that also publish a lot of numbers about the unemployment. The opportunities, the crisis emphasizes, I think, more than ever the need for data, and emphasizes the value of specific value of official statistic, objective and independent. And the crisis that emphasizes how vital and relevant we are. I finished, but I want to show you, although it's most of it in Hebrew, and this is on the left-hand side, you can see the all data gathered in one place in our web page. On the right, up on the right, you can see the new surveys performed due to the coronavirus, and in the middle, you see the current data from existing surveys and sources. On the right-hand side, we made a series of publication. This is the first one. We're going to publish the second one next week of all data from all units. You can see here on the left-hand side, the national statistician updating in videos. Later on, you can open it. I have hyperlinks, but it's in Hebrew. Deliver his messages and some from our media interviews. And I think another page, last one, is our contents in the social media. I told you we took the opportunity to join the Telegram. It's a very useful platform. I recommend on it. And this is it. I hope it was interesting. Thank you very much. And I wish all of us fruitful virtual meeting.
Thank you very much, Eran.
Thank you.
Interesting presentation, and yeah, I think you kind of reflected on a lot of things that all of us have been going through in the last while, especially in trying to, balance with what we've been doing with just the difficulties of not being in the same space and things. So there's a question there from Michael, or a comment. So he's impressed your ability to field new surveys and expand existing ones. So how did you do this with seriously reduced staff? So just in relation to, putting your new surveys and you're increasing the frequency of your surveys, how did you cope with that, considering that your staff was so?
I think that the people, the employees work a little bit more. We had a lot of relief when we conduct the face-to-face service to the telephone. So we had a lot of more time, but there's nothing else to do. Don't forget it, Michael. No rest, nothing else to do, and only to work. People. As I said at the beginning, 35% of employees only were in office, and 65 had to take a vacation. So they really wanted something to do, and we use all of this energy to making surveys. By the way, we have a campaign now, a digital campaign on census. So we're preparing the census. We're supposed to have census next year. And one of the messages is filling the survey, participating in the survey, because there's nothing better to do these days.
Okay, thanks for that. Anybody else got any comments or questions before we move on to the next presentation? No, everybody's happy. Okay, thanks again, Eran.
Thank you.